You guys remember how mad your parents got after the 50th iPod Nano would get delivered to your house? Or when they didn't have enough PTO saved up to take off for the free cruise to the Bahamas for the third time this year? I mean, talk about first world problems, but seriously, it seems like every single site you went to in the early to late 2000s led to being a winner, and how did we always get so lucky? It's so crazy how often I was the 10,000th, 100,000th, 999, 100,000th, or even the 1 millionth visitor to these sites. Like, man, some god tier luck I still wish I had. But hey, I won't question Providence, and all of those iPod Nanos are fetching me a good price online and certainly helping to combat the inflation going on. That's what we wished happened anyways. Nowadays, cybersecurity has gotten a lot tighter, and the weird and wild computer viruses that were all over the place in the early days of the internet have definitely become less prevalent. Depending on who you ask. But seriously, you had so many scams, malware, adware, spyware, viruses, Trojan horses, just everywhere. You almost had to have a radiation suit on just to be safe when roaming the internet in the early days. The strangest and almost comical part about all of these viruses are how quote-unquote creative they were. They weren't always just executables that ran in the background to monitor your keystrokes and steal your data while being absolutely silent and unnoticeable. There are plenty of documented cases of someone using their creative genius on this newfangled thing called the World Wide Web suddenly everyone was using but had no idea how to be safe on. Not for good reasons, of course. There's the famous story of SQL Slammer that infected half of the internet servers within 15 minutes of its launch, caused over 10,000 Bank of America ATMs to be unusable, and completely severed South Korea's access to the internet. Wow. Cybersecurity was really behind when all of this happened in the early 2000s, understandably so. People just didn't know how to safely navigate this new Wild West that suddenly existed and that was growing ever popular. I mean, just in a decade from 1997 to 2007, internet users globally skyrocketed from just 70 million users to about 1.3 billion users. That's an increase of 1,757.14%. Some things were just bound to be learned the hard way, given how humans are, and suddenly millions of middle-aged people were clicking on links in their AOL inboxes, thinking that they want a trip to Spain or something similar. It's honestly a wonder that the internet is still standing to this day and that we somewhat have been able to get a handle on things. But did you ever wonder, what if? What if I did actually win? What if I just missed out on the one actually real instance of winning a contest I didn't enter?
Congratulations, you won.
I mean, he even said that I won. And he certainly sounds trustworthy, right? Phishing. Not that kind of phishing. Phishing. It's a well-known type of internet scam, or in some instances, virus. They can be presented for a variety of reasons: to gain personal information to sell, to gain information that would allow for further ransom, to gain information for blackmail, or to gain information for financial reasons, which the latter being the most common reasoning. These are most commonly, at least now, disguised as genuine emails from actual companies. And those who are uninformed or lacking on their cybersecurity awareness may be more prone to fall for these. Phishing can be disguised as something much more broad, for lack of a better term. That famous or infamous soundbite that I played earlier,
Congratulations, you won.
is most commonly associated with phishing scams. I'm sure you recognize that sound, and even if not, the scam associated with it. Most times they come from visiting some questionable websites. I remember getting unwillingly redirected to pages that featured this sound, or having pop-ups assault my young eyes when trying to find the best Club Penguin coin generator back in the day. Those never worked, by the way. Getting jump scared by a dude yelling "congratulations" over and over again is cemented in a lot of 90s or 2000s kids' heads, I'm sure. I always wondered one thing about that voice recording though. Where did it come from? What was the origin of the sound? Was it recorded specifically for this phishing scam, or was it some royalty-free soundbite that existed during the early days of the internet? Of course, a simple Google search didn't turn up any answers. This unfortunately wasn't quite as popular or documented like the AOL "You got mail" sound was and still is. I know you remember that one.
You've got mail.
Shout out to one Mr. Elwood Edwards for providing his voice as a harbinger of nostalgia. Now, this was going to take some digging, and I wasn't even sure that I would be able to find the answer to this question that I had. But I started at a place most familiar, Reddit. One user, u/scribblenuts, posted a question much like the one I am asking today. Does anyone know the origin of "Congratulations, you've won"? It had to have come from somewhere. So they posted this 13 years ago, which was 2011, just in case you don't feel old enough yet, and didn't garner much of any answers. Most of the comments were just confused about the question. One user suggested it was some asshole, quote unquote, and another concurred with how the soundbite was such an ingenious and genuinely original phrase. I can just smell the 13-year-old sarcasm from the future. So the post didn't provide much of a lead. I will say at this point I was a bit afraid that I bit off more than I could chew. I didn't let this slow me down though, and I took to other websites to see if I could begin pinpointing or at least narrowing down the time period I should be looking at. It was then that I found an article on the titular website KnowYourMeme.com about our voice clip. The article mainly just describes the audio in much of the same fashion that I already have in the video so far, but it also lists out a couple of the earliest mentionings of the scam and potentially the sound itself. It is of note that the first pop-up advertisement was developed by one Ethan Zuckerman. Ethan was an employee at a website hosting company, Tripod.com, during the late 90s. Long story short, a car company complained that their advertisement was directly on an adult-themed website, and Ethan wrote the code for advertisements to launch in separate windows, so as to not be directly associated with the host website. This method of advertisement then devolved into the mess we know it as today, and Ethan directly shows his remorse. It's all good, Ethan. We know you probably didn't mean any harm by creating the pop-up. That being described, our "you won" phishing advertisements had to appear sometime after 1999. The earliest known mention of them, according to KnowYourMeme.com, is an article published to the internet scam blog Fraudo. It was published in December of 2008 and describes how a pop-up advertisement claiming that the user was the 999,999th visitor to a website and had won some grand prize of sorts. This, of course, was just a scam and led to some website where you filled out your personal details and agreed to maybe getting some sort of reward, which the reward would really just be more advertisements and soliciting attempts. Free Lotto was the company or website behind this particular "you won" scam and was quite notorious at the time for such activities. Other things mentioned in the Know Your Meme article are a couple of YouTube videos. Our next notable event in this timeline is the posting of one video by user Dwight Pudding. The video was uploaded in May of 2010 and featured the soundbite remixed into a song alongside some funny images of various time period appropriate things.
Congratulations, you won. Congratulations, you won. Congratulations, you won. Congratulations, you won. Congratulations.
Comments on that video didn't provide much of any leads, however, one user did comment something pretty comical. I'm sure a lot of us share your sentiment, Bassheads Production. The other two videos mentioned in the article were much of the same, one having the sound edited into the ending of Evangelion and the others being a recording of someone else saying the famous phrase, these being posted in November of 2011 and December of 2012 respectively. Apparently there was also a creepypasta written about these types of advertisements that was posted to the r/NoSleep subreddit. It since has been deleted along with the user's account, but still an interesting idea nonetheless, and from the comments on the post, the story was actually creative and well received, if a bit more comical than scary. There's also another YouTube video that was posted in May of 2014 by user VeeDees that featured the sound playing on a loop while a pop-up window dances around in the background, much like it would in real life. There are a lot of comments on this particular video, with one user actually wondering who did the recording as well. There are many responses to this comment, wondering the same, some even offering suggestions such as Steve Jobs or Tony Hawk, which, yeah, that probably isn't who it is. Someone else suggested a comedian by the name of Dimitri Martin, but there is no evidence of this being the case either. A couple other comments were asking about who the voice belonged to, but most replies were either just in agreement about the wonder or were just shitposts. So the article from KnowYourMeme.com actually provides us with a decent timeline to where we can look for our origin of the voice clip. Naturally, I took to YouTube myself to see if I could find any other videos that mentioned either the voice clip or the pop-up or both, and found a couple of hits actually. The first video that I stumbled upon was just a re-upload of the video that VeeDees uploaded, with the re-upload being posted in January of 2016. The comments were mainly just making jokes about the voice and pop-up, one user wondering what the voice actor was up to today, but no leads in the replies. The second video, however, is a bit interesting. Not in the sense that the content is all that amazing or that it contains any sort of answer, but timeline-wise, it's the earliest mention of this ad that I've seen. This particular video was posted all the way back in November of 2007, predating the article written and published on Fraudo. Now, there isn't any audio accompanying this video, so it can't be said with complete certainty that the soundbite was around at this time, but it's definitely a possibility. All the video is what looks like a screen recording of one of the actual pop-up ads claiming that you were the 1 millionth visitor and that something was won. Clicking yes seemed to have taken you on to contact the prize department, quote unquote, immediately, whatever that would have meant. Doing further research with Google Analytics, I searched for the terms of congratulations you won sound, congratulations you won ad, and just congratulations you won, and found that interest peaked in February of 2004 for each of the searches. Now, I cannot go back any further than 2004 for trends, so as far as I know, this is the earliest evidence we have of the scams and possibly the voice clip's existence. Feeling a bit more confident and at the very least happy I was able to get a better timeline established, I went back to Google to see if I could find anything of note during the early or late 2000s mentioning the pop-ups. Most of what I could find were just people asking for help removing the virus from their computer. I won't sit here and lie and act like reading through some of these now weren't just a bit comical, and the thought of someone sitting at their computer with nothing open and the infamous sound playing from nowhere is just a bit funny. Most of these posts ended with the virus being taken care of, and it certainly is interesting to see just how far we have come in terms of cybersecurity. Things are far from perfect, but definitely way better than they were. The sites these ads were mentioned on were all over the place, though. You had some, of course, on IT support sites such as geeks2go.com and superuser.com, but you also had them mentioned on the Norton antivirus website, the Apple forums, and even chess.com. These ads really were and kind of still are all over the place. I also found mention of the pop-ups on a news site about Somalia posted in early 2012. Yeah. With no real other leads coming from these searches, I decided to just Hail Mary it and start digging through online royalty-free sound effects libraries. This went just about as well as you would expect it to go. Until I found this.
Congratulations, you're today's lucky winner.
When I heard this, I sprang out of my zombie-like trance. Sure, it isn't the same clip, but it sounds so similar. I'm unsure when this was posted to this site, but the compression and mixing of this sound is so similar to the clip that we're looking for that I'm convinced it's absolutely on the right track of finding the source. The description of the similar sounding soundbite states, "The sound of a radio announcer or DJ saying congratulations, you're today's lucky winner," over the telephone. This leads me to believe that our soundbite is either a recording from someone saying congratulations, you've won, over the phone, or it was just made to sound that way. Given that it would have been produced during a time where phone scams were more prevalent, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. I also want to put out that, in my opinion, this isn't the whole recording. I feel like there were more words to be said after the "you won" portion of the audio. I have no way of proving this, but it definitely makes logical sense. there's another similar audio that was found talking about winning iPod Nanos.
Congratulations! You have been selected to receive 2 free iPod Nanos as part of our nationwide promotion. Keep them both or give one away. This opportunity won't last long. All you need to do is click on the iPods and then easy register on the next page. Once again, congratulations.
Now, obviously I'm not sure if that's related to our audio we're looking for, but at this point it's a possibility. I also want to mention the comments under another YouTube video that was uploaded in August of 2020 by user EditingWorld. The video is just the sound being played, and the comments are asking about the origin of the sound as well. The responses under one of the comments mentions an actual song that an artist by the name of Sacristuff composed, one titled Virus. The song features a remixing of the "Congratulations, you won" soundbite and is actually pretty neat. I recommend going to give it a listen. The reply under another comment talking about the origin of the sound states that they feel it is likely recorded from a telephone call. That would certainly line up with the compression and specific sound the audio has, as well as matching the description of the similar sounding royalty-free sound that I had found. Feels like the search was pushed in the right direction and has a bit more neatness to the timeline we're working with, but a lot of things still remain uncertain, unfortunately. Goose Chase is fun though, and I know one thing. I will win. And when I do, I will hear him say in my head,
Congratulations, you won.
Well, that's where our search kind of ends at this point. Definitely had a good time going down these rabbit holes of old online blogs and reading about these people's experiences with early internet malware. The early internet was really just the Wild West in more ways than one, and it was just something that you had to be there for. Super grateful I have those memories to look back on, and I'm even more grateful that the things are still around for me to do deep dives on while having that warm and fuzzy nostalgic feeling. Also super grateful for you guys watching too. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. I really love interaction from you guys on the videos, and I'm glad I can bring a smile to some faces while having fun making content. As always, keep it low key and have a great night.